What's up, War Rapport family? We are back with another great edition of Facts or Nah, these rapid fire question and answers for y'all. Fellas, we ready to get into this week?
Yes, indeed. Let's go.
All right, let's kick it off like this. Facts or nah, Auburn will be in the top 5 in fewest penalty yards in the SEC this season. That's yards per game. What do y'all think?
I'm going to go facts here. Reluctantly, I think that these guys are picking up what Will Friend has been coaching them and preaching them, teaching to these guys. I think that we're actually middle of the pack last year in terms of penalty yardage per game. And even though there's going to be some opportunity for mistakes to happen with a new offense, learning a new scheme, new coaching staff, new expectations, there will be mistakes made, but I do see an improvement being made over the course of the year. And I think Auburn could eke into the top 5 spot, the number 5 spot, and be top 5 in least penalty yardage in the SEC. I'm a bit optimistic, but I'm going to go facts here.
I'm going to go nah, and it doesn't have too much to do with discipline. I actually think that we'll be very aggressive on the back end, which will leave refs open to call us for some flags that we may or may not earn. And I don't mind that. I like the defense being aggressive, especially the secondary. That's kind of been how we played for the last couple of years under Kevin Steele as well. And we're going to get some calls back there. As long as the defense is shutting guys down, I don't mind the calls, but that's why we'll have some yardage that may have us outside of the top 5. So, nah.
I think I'm going to go nah on this one as well. It's kind of rough for me to go here, but I do think a combination of what you're saying, B. Will, with the aggressiveness from the defense, especially on the back end, we're going to be physical on the outside, so that may lead to some penalties. Even though Vanderbilt, under Mason was pretty typically not penalized a lot. But I do think that we're going to be very aggressive on the outside. That with the nature of just changing into a new system and a lot of youth on offense and, the offensive line trying to figure things out, I think we're going to have a little bit of penalty yards. And that's not going to necessarily mean that we're not going to be a disciplined team. I do think as the season progresses, those yards will go down. But early in the year, I do expect us to just kind of be sloppy. And in that sloppiness, penalties are going to happen. So I'm going to go nah on this. Hopefully an improvement, but not in the top 5.
All right, guys. Facts or nah? Brian Harsin gets Auburn to the SEC championship before Andy Avalos, Boise State's head coach, gets them to their conference championship. What do you got?
I'm going to say nah, and it has everything to do with who these coaches have to topple to get to the SEC or Mountain West Conference Championship, respectfully. Listen, you got Bama, LSU, Georgia, and even though Georgia is undercoached, let's say, Saban and Orgeron have already shown that they know what to do to build a team, to keep it going, and to keep competent coaches on the sidelines. And that's really the biggest key when you have as much talent coming in as they do. Boise is actually, they may not be the Alabama of the Mountain West, the same way the Alabama is the Alabama of the SEC, but they're a lot closer to being the top dog of that conference than Auburn is here. It's a much steeper hill to climb for Brian Harsin here at Auburn, so I'm going to say no.
I'm going to go nah on this one as well. I think it's mainly because, like Brian was saying, that Big Will was saying that we're closer to the top if we're at Boise right now than we are at Auburn. So I do think that if what I believe to be the trajectory of the program is going to be that Auburn will be back in contention for at least an SEC West title within the next 3 years. But I think Boise's poised to do that this year. There's just not a lot of things that Boise State has to do to get their program in a position where they're going to be able to compete for a conference championship. Andy Avalos is going to be he's not new to that system or that area. So I think that they have a good opportunity to go and just pick right up where they have been, which is near the top of that conference, and compete again for the conference championship. So I'm going to say no.
I'm going to go nah here as well for the clean sweep. Listen, the past 2 national champions have come out of our division alone. We play in the toughest division in college football. So just getting to the SEC championship is going to be a tall order for any team in our conference not named Bama, right? And you also have teams that are Texas A&M, who is coming on with Jimbo Fisher, or Jimothy, as we like to affectionately call him here. You have Ole Miss, who we don't know what they're going to be. Many people project that they're going to be a lot better in year 2 under Lane Kiffin. Mike Leach could be playing spoiler for a lot of teams at the top. And so they could be a dangerous team. So we play in an extremely tough conference. And then again, there's always Georgia. And what I would hate to happen just in a SEC championship year is we end up in a scenario where we would have to play Georgia twice. You have to think about all the things that Auburn has to do based on who our rivals are and what division we play in. All the things that Boise State doesn't have to worry about. Not saying that their competition isn't tough or where they are. You're just not facing the giants we're facing on a week in and week out basis. So I'm going nah here. I hope that Brian Harsin can get us there, but it's probably going to be a lot tougher of a hill to climb than it would be at Boise.
All right, fellas, facts or not? Auburn will rush for at least 200 yards per game this season.
I want to say nah to this. I should be going facts here, but I'm not. I think that last year we were in the mid 160s per game. I think I do see an improvement of that happening. Maybe it's the mid 180s, but a jump by 30 some yards per game this season, even with an increased focus on the rushing game. I think that because teams are going to expect us to focus on the rush game, that they're going to be loading the box against us and daring us to beat them with the pass. So what I do expect to see is an increased screen game that will allow us to supplement that run game. But to get above 200 yards per game this season, I think it's going to be a tall task. And I'm not ready to go there just yet until I see what we're able to do in the pass game to make people have to loosen up the box a little bit. And allow the run game to do its thing. So I'm going to go down.
I'm going to go facts here. Our identity is going to be run the football. And I know defenses are going to be lining up to stop it, but we have a tank and we have Shivers and we have a few guys who are ready to run downhill. And I think that will create some opportunities at play action. I think we'll have some opportunities to attack the middle of the field with our tight ends to keep the defense honest and attack them wherever they're trying to stack the box. But I think at the end of the day, our offense goes where our running game goes. And I think that will allow us to actually be pretty balanced offensively, but it's going to come with a good dose of the run game. So in order for Auburn to be successful, I think it's going to be necessary for us to get very close to, if not past, 200 yards rushing per game. So I'm going facts. Auburn rushes for at least 200 yards per game this upcoming season.
I am also going to say facts. We hit 200 yards a game this season. Partially because we've heard so much from offensive players and coaches alike. We're going to be a run downhill team. On top of that, we may have forsaken that offensive line because they weren't asked to run block, the thing they do best, as often as they should have been before. So now, if you get some new coaches, they come in here and say, hey, you know what? You guys do this thing well. Let me let you do it, empower you to do it, and call the game so you can get your numbers up. And I think we've got a Heisman finalist caliber running back, and they are going to want to put him on display, not only to get his star to rise and to get more people paying attention to us, but also what you do on the field with those skill position players is the best recruitment tool you have. You want to be able to tell that next running back, listen, you want to be in that finalist room, you come to Auburn. They want that. Tank wants that. That's why I think we're going to get 200 yards per game on the ground this season.
All right, you know what time it is? It is the fan question of the week, and I want to thank everybody who's continued to submit those questions. But this week, the fan question is going to be coming courtesy of @JackSingley4. He tweets, facts or nah, Harsin will be at Auburn longer than Gus will be at UCF. Fellas, what do we think about this one?
I'm going to actually go nah here. And I don't think it's necessarily because Brian Harsin gets fired from Auburn. I think if Harsin does at Auburn what I'm hoping he can do, this will perhaps create opportunities for him maybe at the next level at the NFL. And it could be that we could potentially lose a guy who runs a pro style offense, who has shown that he can develop and actually do it at the SEC level. It could make him an attractive candidate for the next level. So I'm guessing that we may not keep him, especially if he has the success that we're hoping that he can bring with him from Boise. As it pertains to Gus, I'm not sure if he's going to ever get a better job than Auburn. I'm not sure who comes calling from a Power 5 school. Depending on what kind of success he has, he could end up being at UCF for a while because of what he's done at Auburn. He's been able to beat the teams he's supposed to at times and may not win a championship here or there, but he's doing enough to keep his job, something he did really well at Auburn, perhaps too good. So I'm going to go nah. I think Harsin's ceiling or his trajectory professionally still may be rising, and he may end up leaving us for a gig at the next level. So I'm going nah.
I'm going to go facts. And the reason I say facts, Harsin will be at Auburn longer than Gus is at UCF. It's not because he leaves for the NFL, because I believe that most coaches who find success in college understand that college is unique and that they probably don't have the same advantage in the pros. I actually think Gus, completely uninhibited by the administration above him, will start to lose some of the shine as he has to compete in that conference with Cincinnati and Memphis and one or two other programs that are doing just as good a job turning lower recruits into a quality program year in and year out as UCF had. UCF has a good reputation, but their head coach at the level he was at, Scott Frost, is really who built that thing and kind of kept it going with the last guy. Listen, Gus is replacing all the parts, and he had some extremely good parts at Auburn that he wasted. Are the parts as good at UCF? Are people really going to buy into whatever he's selling them as far as next level development? Because Gus didn't really do that. I think the jig might be up for Gus just a little bit. He's got a couple of years to really kind of sell it that it was Auburn was the problem and not him. But honestly, I don't think he can hold on that long. I think Harsin comes in, he lays the groundwork, gets some big wins in the first couple of years, and everybody, administration up and down, really gets behind him, and he's here for the long haul. So, facts.
I'm going to start this by saying, will Harsin be at Auburn longer than Gus will be at UCF? I'm going to say nah, but let me explain to you my reasoning here. Gus, gosh, I don't want to say anything too bad about him. Can I call him a used car salesman? He's a really great used car salesman, right? And so I think that he'll be able to finagle his way through a few, timely victories here and there. If it sounds familiar to any Auburn fans, then, stop me. That will allow them to say, okay, next year will be the year. Next year will be the year. Next year will be the year, right? I think he can do that long enough at UCF to continue to stay there as long as he really just wants to. As someone said earlier, I don't know that there's a Power 5 conference that's going to come calling for him because he's not going to go back to being an offensive coordinator. It's got to be a head coaching job somewhere. So maybe some tier 2 school in the Big Ten will decide that they want to try to get him. I don't know. But I still think that he lasts longer than 5 years. Harsin, on the other hand, this is going to hurt me to say this out loud. I've been thinking about this whole new culture of NIL and the 12-team playoff and where that allows teams like Boise to be in that conversation. And I feel as if he actually will now have a better opportunity to get into the playoff at Boise than he does at Auburn. And after dealing with 4 or 5 years of the meddling in this administration here and people trying to tell him how to do things, if he hasn't gotten that success by year 3, in year 4, he's going to be tired of it. In year 5, he's going to be going and asking if Boise can give him his job back because that's home for him.
Wow.
So, nah. Sorry. That's it. That's another great edition of Facts or Nah. We are so glad to continue to bring this content to you all every week, but we can't do it without you all tweeting us your questions. So make sure you hit us up on Twitter. That is at the War Rapport, #Facts or Nah, and you can have your question featured right here in the next episode. Outside of that, you know the drill. You need to be following us on all of our social media. We are at the War Rapport on Instagram and Twitter. We're the War Rapport on Facebook as well. TW Rapport on TikTok. That's it. We're out of here signing off. And until next time, and as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.